Hi everyone, it's Mel here and welcome back to Mel's Blind Life, the YouTube channel all about blindness. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the equipment that you need and the things that you need to do before you bring your guide dog home. Once again guys, before I get started, I'm going to apologise for the headphone in the ear look. As usual, I am listening to what voiceover is telling me without you guys being able to hear it. So that's why, and also to use the microphone. Anyway, without further ado, I will talk about the equipment that you need and the things that you need to do before you bring your new guide dog home. For those of you who don't know or are new to this channel, I have just bought my second guide dog, Penny, home from training 3 weeks ago. It'll be 3 weeks on the 18th since I brought her home, and of course, like everyone, I had to prepare myself, my home, and my pets really for her new arrival. So the first thing that you probably want to do before you bring your new guide dog home is you want to make sure that the environment for your new dog at home is safe, that they're not going to get into any danger, and also that there isn't things that they can get into, for example cat litter or children's toys or anything like that. So one of the main things for me when I was bringing my new dog home was I had to get a baby gate installed on the door of my laundry, because that is where my cat litter is, and I knew that I didn't want my new dog able to get in and eat the cat litter. So as gross as it sounds, that is what possibly might happen. So you need to have the cat litter in a way that your dog can't stick its head in it and eat it. So if your cat litter is in a room like the laundry, then have a baby gate put in to stop the dog from getting in there. Or if the cat litter is in, say, an enclosure outside, a cat enclosure outside, then make sure that the dog can't get in there. And if there's cat litter in the laundry but it's in one of those litter trays that are like a little boxy thing, make sure that the entry for the cats is turned away so that the dogs can't get in there, but you may just want to put a baby gate there as well. Also, while we're on the topic of cats, make sure that their food is up high and that it's not in a place that a dog can get to. Labradors are big dogs. They're generally the same kind of dog that is used in guide dog schools all over the world. They are, a medium-sized dog. The average height of a Labrador probably comes up to the height of an average person's knee or a little bit higher than that. So they are quite large dogs. So make sure that your cat food is in bowls up on a bench towards the back of the bench. I myself have 2 cat feeders, which are not only up high on benches, but they're also got lids on them so that when the cat is not eating the food, the lid automatically closes and no other animals can get into that particular cat's food. I'll link down below my unboxing of my microchip pet feeders so that you can see what they are. That is probably the most important thing with the cats, is making sure about their litter and their food. The second thing you want to make sure about is your kitchen, guys. It's really important to make sure that if you have got a rubbish bin in your kitchen, if there is a way of putting it inside a cupboard, that is probably the best thing that you can do, so that the dog has absolutely no chance of being able to get into the rubbish bin in the kitchen. Also, I would advise that you make sure that if you've got a fruit bowl or any kind of food bowl that you leave out that people can just pick at, say for example a fruit bowl, or you might have a bowl of lollies or something like that, by all means keep that out and keep that system going, but maybe put it very high on a high shelf, or even better in a cupboard with a lid on it, so that the dog isn't tempted to get into that. Your guide dog instructor will go through with you regarding your property's the safety of your property and things like that you can do, but they're just some general tips that you really need to be careful aren't overlooked. So the next thing is shopping for your guide dog, and this is probably the most exciting part. You've just found out that you're getting a guide dog, you're all excited, training starts in a couple of weeks, and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, what am I going to buy for my new guide dog? There are so many things that you can buy, there are so many things that you could buy, there are also so many things that you possibly shouldn't buy. So you probably would be best off to start with your guide dog school and ask them for a comprehensive list of what equipment and accessories you will be receiving for your dog before you go spending heaps and heaps of money and then finding out that the guide dog school are going to give you the same stuff. But I've just got a couple of things here that I would recommend you get, no matter whether your school is going to give them to you or not. They're just a couple of things that you will need. So the first thing that you will need is a nyla bone. Now this is a big, heavy, obviously this one is well loved. This is a big, heavy bone that is for the dogs to chew on. It's good for their teeth. It helps keep plaque and reduce tartar buildup and stuff like that on their teeth. These you can probably get at most good pet shops, stores, shops, whatever. You can also get them online. So these are just a really good, they're a solid bone for the dog to chew on when they get bored. The guide dog school may provide you with one of these when you go into training, but I would also suggest that you have one at home available for your dog, so that then if you do end up with two, that is really good, because if you end up with two, you can have one sort of around home, around the house all the time, and then you can have a second one like that you travel with. So you might have a big one like this for around the house, and you might have a smaller one for going on holidays and just sitting in your bag when you've got a long plane ride or a long bus or train ride or a long car ride. It's good for the dogs to have something to do, to chomp on, to stop them from getting bored. The second thing that I highly recommend you gain access to is a Kong. Now this is a rather large rubber, very solid toy, quite thick, and it's got a hole in the top of it, and it's kind of a cone shape. So what this is for is you can put treats, you can put pieces of carrot or liver treats or even just their normal kibble into the hole in the top of this. And what this does is, if you have to leave the dog for any length of time, say in the backyard because you're going to a concert, or even, you know, you're going to a doctor's appointment and you can't take the dog, or you're going out with friends and you can't take the dog, for any reason that you can't take your dog with you, these are a really good toy to reduce. Yes, I know. These are a really good toy to reduce boredom, and also to reward them for being alone. So it's really important that right from the beginning you start to encourage them that being left alone is a positive experience, because one day when they retire, they will be left alone without you for some time. Won't they, mate? Hey? Yes, you can bear testament to that. Can't you, pal? Yes. So it's really important that you teach them, probably, you know, from quite a young age, that being left alone is okay. And the reason why this is a positive thing for them is because obviously as they get the treats out, yes, they get food, which is a perfect motivator, isn't it, Das? Yes. So, can I borrow this? Okay, so this is really disgusting, guys. I'm sorry. But the next thing I recommend you get, but possibly not straight away until you know what kind of a dog you have. The next thing I recommend you get is some kind of a soft toy for your dog. Now, I do not recommend you go getting I'm going to put that away because it's disgusting. I do not recommend you get a soft toy for your dog before you've got the dog and before you know what the dog is like, because you don't know whether that dog is going to tear that soft toy to shreds. If you want to get them a soft toy and be all cute and cuddly and stuff like that, please wait until you've had the dog for a few weeks before you know what the dog is like, whether they are likely to find soft toys and shred them to pieces. Also ask the trainers and instructors at your guide dog school, because they will know what that dog is like around soft toys. Soft toys are really great. Darcy carries his around in his mouth all the time, so they're a really great thing to have, and they enjoy having them. But like I said, please be careful. Don't buy one until you know what your dog is like. So the next thing is a metal bowl. Is quite large, and it's obviously metal, and it's a round bowl. The guide dog school will probably issue you with a similar kind of bowl, but they will only issue you with the one bowl. I highly recommend that you buy a second bowl like this one, because what I personally do, I have got 2 dogs obviously, but what I personally do is I like to have my dog water available to the dogs 24/7. I've got 2 bowls actually, because I've got 2 dogs, but you want to have some water available for your dog at all times. And it does get very tedious if you have to go through and always, you know, empty the water to fill up the food, and then when the dog's eaten, you have to fill up the water again. That's just really annoying sometimes, and you don't want to be doing that twice a day. Trust me, I did it twice a day for 3 weeks on guide dogs, and it was very annoying. So always have a second metal water bowl for the dog. Then that way they've got water available all the time. You can also use your food bowl if you do go out and leave the dog behind. You can either use this or the food bowl out the back, if you leave the dog out the back with water in it as well. So that's a really useful thing to have. And while we're on the topic of bowls, guys, I want to talk about a travel bowl. So this is my slightly grubby travel bowl. When you get your guide dog, once again, your school may give you a foldable travel bowl, they may not, but usually the ones that they give you are really, really tiny. The one that they gave me with Penny is only about the size of a saucer. So you want something slightly bigger than that, because when you go away overnight, you obviously need to feed your dog, and you may not have any way of feeding your dog. If you're staying in a hotel or something, you don't want to use the people bowls to feed your dog in a hotel or whatever. So I highly recommend you get a bigger travel bowl. This one's probably about the size of a bread and butter plate, so it's just big enough for the dog's meal. It is collapsible, so it actually folds. If I push down on the center of it, it comes out into a bowl, but it actually then can fold up flat, so it's more compact and easier to carry in your luggage. These you can probably just pick up at Petstock or any kind of pet shop that you have. I suggest that you get one that's got kind of like a ring or some kind of a hole on the side around the edge there, because if you're traveling, this is going to get wet when you give the dog a drink of water. So you don't then want to go put a wet bowl into your suitcase. So I highly recommend that you have some kind of way of putting a ring or a strap or a clip or something through the bowl, so that then you can clip it onto the outside of your suitcase if it's still a little bit damp. The final accessory that I suggest you look at purchasing before you bring your dog home is a spare leash. Now this one's just a plain straight webbing lead. It's nothing fancy. They cost, $2. I highly recommend you get something like this, because it's always good to have a spare lead lying around anyway. But it's very important that you have always got access to a lead, and you don't want to risk ruining your good guide dog lead as well. But the other thing is, some guide dog schools may suggest that you tether your dog, especially overnight, or they may even suggest that you tether them while you go out for a couple of hours and leave the dog behind. And you don't want to use your good dog guide lead when you do tether them when you go away, because then you are risking that dog getting bored and chewing up that good expensive sort of 50 Australian dollar or 80 Australian dollar guide dog lead, which is leather, and it's really high quality leather, so it costs a lot of money, and you don't want to risk having to ring up guide dogs and say, my dog chewed my lead when I tethered them to their bed. So it's probably a really, really good idea to get one of these. Like I said, they're cheap. They're probably only about $2 or something like that. They're webbing, so if the dog does chew it, it's not a big deal. You haven't just lost your guide dog lead. This one's about 1 meter long, I think. And because it's got the handle thing here, you can tie it around the leg of your dog's bed, so that you can then tether them while you go away. So I highly recommend you get a lead like this before you bring your dog home. The last thing you want to look at before you bring your dog home is bedding. So your school will possibly give you a trampoline bed, which is like a bed that's raised up off the ground. It's got 4 legs. It's got like I think it's a Hessian, some kind of thing like that, bottom, and then you can just sit a blanket or a cover on top of that, and that's what they sleep on, probably in your bedroom or maybe even in the lounge room. And they will possibly also give you a mat to put on top of that bed. But I highly suggest that you get a second blanket or mat or something like that that you can put the dog on. I've got a mat here in my living room, and then I've got the dog bed that guide dogs gave me in the bedroom. And because I leave my retired guide dog Darcy here at home quite a lot, I've also got a second trampoline bed that is out in the backyard. So I highly recommend that you look at getting a mat or a rug of some description from your pet shop. It doesn't have to be something expensive, just something that they can lie on in your living room during the day, that they know that that's their place and that's where they belong. I also, if you have a job and if you're taking your dog to your job every day, I also highly recommend that you buy a blanket or a mat that you can take to your office and put underneath your desk or wherever the dog's going to be situated while you're at work. Do not expect that your workplace will provide anything like that. Obviously, you should talk to your workplace about expectations for your guide dog, which I'll do in another video. But I would highly recommend that you get a mat for your guide dog at work, and maybe a bowl for your dog that can live at your workplace, so that, and maybe also a toy that can live at your office, so that the dog has got its place and its spot that it belongs and it feels comfortable at your workplace. And then you might also want to purchase for yourself a small compact kind of rug or blanket or towel or something like that that you can take with you when you go on holiday. It might just be a case of you transport the blanket that you've got at your workplace when you go on holiday, but you really do need to have something that you can take to put on the floor in your hotel room, or to put even on the floor in the plane if you're flying on a long plane ride or something like that. Just have something that smells like them, that they are familiar with and that they are comfortable with for when you go away. Finally, guys, I feel like I've been talking for ages. Sorry about that. Finally, I highly recommend that you check for veterinarians in your local area before you bring your dog home, especially if it's your first pet and you don't know about the veterinarian services, the pet shops, things like that in your local area. Do some research. Google is probably your best friend, and also just having local knowledge and things like that. Find out about veterinarians in your local area, find out about the best prices, find out about how easy they are to get to, and find out whether they've got good reviews. Talk to people who you know who have got pets and which vets they recommend, and also talk to the vet themselves. Go and talk about their prices and their hours, and do they do emergencies and things like that. Emergency vet care is probably one of the biggest things, especially for a person with a guide dog. You probably want to choose a veterinarian who who does have an emergency kind of hotline, you know. So if there's an emergency, you need to choose a vet who does after-hour emergency care. You probably also need to choose a vet that does house visits, because as I have discovered, when you are blind and something goes horribly wrong with your guide dog and you live alone, you need to have a vet that will come and see your dog at all hours of the day and night, that you don't have to try and drive your dog to a vet hospital. It's fine if you've got a partner, you know, a wife or a husband, or someone who lives at home with you, who can, if there is an emergency, drive you to the vet clinic. But it's probably better to go with a vet who does after-hour care and who does do house calls. They are a little bit extra expense on top of your vet bills, but you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you're in an emergency and you can't get the dog to the vet because you're on your own and your only method of transport is having some kind of a medical emergency. That is probably all of the things that I recommend you do. As I said, don't go too overboard with purchasing products and accessories for your new guide dog. Like I said, I know it's very tempting to spend all this money and go, oh, you know, what if my dog wants this or that or the other thing? But please don't do that, because you don't want to waste your money on a soft toy that your dog's going to destroy, or a fancy collar that doesn't fit, or, you know, treats that your dog can't eat. So just be mindful of what you're buying. Obviously, as you get more used to having that dog and you get to know its personality and things like that, you can start to buy things for that dog. You can start to buy, you know, different toys, or you can buy them a fancy collar, or you can buy them a nice bandana, or whatever takes your fancy. But don't go overboard before you get the dog, because you don't know what that dog's going to be like. And you don't want to go, like I said, you don't want to go spending all this money to decide that the dog's going to ruin the toy and the fancy diamante collar that you've bought doesn't fit. So be mindful, enjoy shopping for the basic things that you're going to need, and then later on, when you've got the dog home, enjoy shopping for other accessories and stuff like that. Shopping for your guide dog is fun, and it needs to be, and you both need to enjoy it, but at the same time you just need to be mindful. But that is really it for this video, guys. I hope that some of my advice was what you needed. I also hope that I didn't talk for too long. I felt like I spoke for ages. And enjoy your dog. Bringing your new guide dog home is a great experience. It's also not a walk in the park. A lot of people think that it's so easy and you just get this dog and it's all sunshine and lollipops and roses, but I can tell you now that you will possibly struggle. But just think on the positive. This is, you know, what you needed, and the dog's going to enjoy all these basic accessories that you've bought for them, and they're going to enjoy their life with you, and you're going to enjoy your life with them. So I hope this video has helped you guys. I hope you've learnt something. I hope I didn't talk for too long. So if you're new here, please subscribe and click the bell notifications to get more videos on living as a blind woman in Australia. And remember to like this video, share it with your friends and family, and comment down below if you've got any questions, ideas, thoughts. What did you guys buy for your first guide dog? So I want to know, how did you guys prepare for your guide dog? Or if you're getting one soon, how are you preparing? And if you've got any more questions to ask, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll do some more videos on getting your new guide dog in the near future. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you all next time.